You're looking at hills that are older than the Himalayas. I mean, think about that for a second. They protect millions of us, they control our weather, they fill up our groundwater, and right now, they are literally fighting for their survival. So let's get into the story of the Aravalli Hills and figure out why the very laws meant to protect them have become so incredibly controversial.
Oh yeah, it's not an exaggeration. The Aravallis are one of the oldest fold mountain ranges on the entire planet. They're like a geological time capsule that's been standing for billions of years. But look, their age isn't just a cool trivia fact. It's proof of just how deep their ecological importance really runs.
And I really want to stress this. This is not some distant environmental issue you can just read about and forget. If you live anywhere in North India, the health of these hills directly impacts your life every single day. We're talking about the air you're breathing, the water you're drinking, your future, really. The stakes here are deeply personal.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, the Aravalli Range is this amazing natural barrier. It stretches for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers across states like Rajasthan, Haryana, right through Delhi and into Gujarat. But you shouldn't think of it as just a line of mountains. It's more like a great green shield.
And this shield does some absolutely critical work for us. For starters, it physically stops the Thar Desert from creeping eastward. Its forests, they're like a giant sponge soaking up monsoon rains and refilling the groundwater that millions of us rely on. It also shields the entire National Capital Region from those brutal dust storms. It's a vital home for wildlife, and it's basically the air conditioner for cities like Delhi and Gurugram, helping to regulate the climate and clean the air.
Okay, so if it's that important, how do we protect it?
Well, this is where things start to get, complicated. You know, a lot of people think there must be one big, powerful Aravalli Act that protects the whole thing. But the reality, it's way more complex than that.
And that right there is the key. There is no single law from the central government that's dedicated only to protecting this entire massive range. It's a huge misconception, and you kind of have to get your head around that to understand what all the fighting is about right now.
So instead of one law, the protection comes from this patchwork of different legal pieces. First, you've got these landmark Supreme Court orders that over the years have stepped in and said, hey, the Aravallis are important. Then you have some broader environmental regulations that apply. And finally, you have these specific state laws, like the Punjab Land Preservation Act, or PLPA, which is actually a really old law designed to stop soil erosion that now gets used to protect parts of the hills.
So what's the effect of all this? Well, when you stitch it all together, this legal patchwork has managed to create a sort of buffer zone. For decades, it's been used to put the brakes on destructive stuff like mining, unchecked construction, and people just illegally taking over land in many parts of the Aravallis. It's what has kept them functioning. But all of that might be about to change. A new, so-called scientific definition of what even counts as an Aravalli hill has been brought up in the Supreme Court. The stated goal is to get really specific about which areas need protection. But this new rule, it's become the center of a massive fight.
So what is this new definition everyone is talking about? It's basically a super technical approach. It says a piece of land is only a protected Aravalli hill if it meets two very specific, very rigid criteria. One for its height and one for how close it is to other hills. It sounds simple and scientific, right? But as always, the devil is in the details.
Okay, here's the first number, 100 meters. Under this new rule, a landform has to be at least 100 meters taller than the ground around it to even be considered a hill. If it's 99 meters, it might not make the cut, no matter how vital its forests or wildlife are.
And here's the second number, 500 meters. For a bunch of hills to be seen as a continuous range that deserves protection, they can't be more than 500 meters apart. If that gap is any wider, they could be treated as just separate, isolated little bumps on the landscape.
So you can probably see why this is so controversial. Critics are freaking out, and for good reason. They argue that the Aravallis aren't just a few huge mountains. They're this complex, interconnected system of big hills, smaller ridges, gentle slopes, and everything in between. They're warning that this incredibly strict definition could just wipe a huge chunk of the range off the protected list, basically throwing open the doors to legal mining and construction in places that have been safe for years.
And that brings us right to the heart of the whole thing. It's a massive debate. On one side, you have this argument for scientific clarity and better control. And on the other, you have this terrifying warning about total ecological collapse. Let's break down the two sides. All right, so the government's argument is that a clear scientific definition is what we need to end all the confusion and to more effectively crack down on illegal mining. The thinking is, if you define exactly what is and what isn't a protected hill, you have a clear rulebook for everybody. Plus, they point out that all mining is on pause anyway until a full management plan is ready. But environmentalists see a totally different reality. They're warning that the vast majority of the Aravallis could lose their legal protection under this new system. They're predicting a horrifying chain reaction. Groundwater levels will plummet, pollution and heat in our cities will skyrocket, we'll see a devastating loss of wildlife, and the climate risks for all of North India will just go through the roof.
Okay, so let's pull back from the legal talk for a second and bring this right back to you. This whole debate, it's not some abstract thing happening in a courtroom. It has real, direct consequences for you, for your family, especially if you live anywhere in Rajasthan, Haryana, or the Delhi NCR.
So what does a future with a broken Aravalli shield actually look like? Well, it's not pretty. We are talking about hotter, just unbearable summers because the region's natural air conditioner gets shut off. It means more frequent, more intense dust storms blowing right into our cities. It means our groundwater levels, which are already in trouble, fall even faster, leading to serious water shortages. And of course, the quiet disappearance of all the amazing wildlife that calls these hills home.
When you get right down to it, this whole complicated, messy issue really just boils down to one very simple, very fundamental choice.
So when you strip away all the legalese and the scientific jargon, the question we're all facing is actually incredibly simple and pretty stark. Are we willing to trade this ancient, vital, ecological shield for short-term profits from mining and real estate? Or do we recognize that the long-term survival of our cities, our water, and our environment depends on keeping that shield strong and intact? It's a decision that our kids and grandkids will have to live with. So the question is, what's the right path forward?